Hi guys, how are you? Okay, we are going to review psychedelic art. We are having a quiz on next week on November 11th, so we really need to review this. Okay, so you might ask yourself, if the art piece is colorful, is it automatically a psychedelic art piece? And the answer is no. Sometimes an art piece can be colorful because it can be representing a bright scene, color patterns, or have cultural significance. Um, so what is the difference? Psychedelic art has swirls or rainbow-like designs to create a sense of dreamlike reality. So let's look at some examples. If we look at this eye, we can see, although they're not really swirls, although there are some kind of swirls and curls over here, we can see that there is sort of like rainbow-like colors, bright colors oftentimes, but it's not a regular drawing. So it's not just like we're going to draw a rainbow and it automatically becomes a psychedelic art piece. If we look at this one over here, we see a lot of bright colors. We don't see the swirls, but maybe unless you want to color a little bit of kind of like curved lines here. But for the most part, we're not seeing that, but we are having a colorful and kind of unreal reality. And so that is an example of psychedelic art. Let's go to the next. How does psychedelic art portray nature and reality? Nature is shown in a surreal manner, and the trees are not regular trees. Hills can look like eyes, and the sky can have swirls. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Over here, you can see some examples of how nature looks in psychedelic art. We have the hill that is an eye. We looked at this before. You can look at the sky over here, which has like this sort of like swirls. It's like a really cool pattern. Over here, all the swirls. Over here, we see that nature, the trees are not regular trees, they're mushrooms, but we do see some things that do look like regular trees. There is a house there. So the nature is very different. Again, this one over here on the side is hills with some swirls. It's definitely psychedelic art. You can see how the sunset looks different. And so that is an example of psychedelic art. Let's go ahead and talk about why are some images repeated in psychedelic art. So there are images that are repeated because they represent motion. So for example, you can see a hand or a head repeating close together. So it can look like the hand or the head is moving from side to side. We saw that when we looked at the album cover of Jimi Hendrix. And you can see Jimi Hendrix right over here, and the hands are repeating. The snake's head is repeating. So that kind of looks like, when the snake moves his head from side to side, it gives the illusion that it's gonna attack you, but by having all it repeating in kind of a little bit slightly different angles, it gives that sensation that the snake's head is in fact moving. So it does have motion. Let's go. What are some of the things that are found in psychedelic art? So you will see eyes, mushrooms, rainbow, or swirls of color and flowers. It does not have to have all of them in one art piece, but it definitely has it. So we're going to go ahead and look at some examples. Over here, you can see there are so many eyes. Like there are eyes in every little section. It looks like a snake almost, but then it ends up being a finger, and you can see eyes galore. This guy has like a strange eye. He's peering in. These characters that kind of remind me of the Minions also have eyes. If we look at this art piece, we can see that there are 3 eyes over there, and it actually says open your eyes. This one over here is an eye as well, with all these nice designs surrounding it. So eyes are something that you will find in a psychedelic art piece. Now these eyes, it's almost like the center point for, especially the ones on the side. It's like that's the focus point. And this one, not so much. There are so many eyes that are there. However, those eyes are kind of a surreal reality, an alternate reality, where there are people looking and they only have eyes. And then there's this large thing that looks almost like a snake, but is like a hand and has eyes. So let's talk about mushrooms. So this little lizard seems like he's just chilling, and there are all these mushrooms, and it looks almost like outer space. The one in the middle, the man is literally a mushroom man, right? And he is smoking a mushroom. And you can see all these mushrooms over there. Over here, I'm not sure. Well, this is definitely psychedelic art, the one on the side. And those are like light colored, groovy mushrooms. And you see the eyes over there as well, which is pretty cool and interesting. Now, we talked about examples of flowers. And usually, so it's important to note that the psychedelic art scene came into about during the 1960s. And sometimes you would see these kind of stickers, the ones that are on the side, and it would say flower power. And so you see flowers, and the flowers don't look realistic, but they are definitely colorful. Now, the one in the middle, the head is a flower. So that definitely makes it a psychedelic art piece. We don't see multiple flowers, but the head is a flower. So that in itself is an alternate reality. And that flower actually looks more realistic. Okay, so we need to recap some of the information that we have because we want to make sure that we are ready for our quiz. So psychedelic art. It is colorful and usually has some colorful swirls. Now remember, the colorful swirls don't have to be always rainbow-like. So we see swirls sometimes that they're different versions of a blue, right? Nature and reality is presented in a surreal way. That means that it is dreamlike. It's not realistic. It might have a few aspects that are realistic. However, it is not fully realistic. That's why we call it surreal. Now, again, repeated images are used to create motion. Let's remember that the psychedelic album cover of Jimi Hendrix with the snake and the hands. Psychedelic art can have mushrooms, eyes, and flowers. Let's also remember it doesn't have to have all of them at the same time. And an important fact to also remember is psychedelic art was created in the 1960s. I will be posting this PowerPoint also so that if you want to go ahead and look at it, you can do so. Anyway, good luck. I hope you enjoy the presentation. Bye.